Hello. So about twice a year, I do a video on jobs in the UK, remote jobs, Python jobs, programming jobs, software jobs. So let's have a look. I've reopened my page on what I was last on, and first thing, we've got the featured. So when you're looking at job ads, you'll always get the ones that are promoted. So sometimes they are not entirely relevant because somebody's paid to get those at the top of the listing. Java, not particularly knowledgeable about Java, I'm afraid, so skip that. Golang, £750 to £800 a day. Wow. That's yeah, that's more than I've lived on recently per month. Contract London. Right, here we go. Python web developer, remote working. I've got no great aspirations to be a Python web developer, but web developer, but if you're up and coming and you're interested in Django, this might be of interest for you. Something to keep in mind as you're learning more skills and going deeper down the Django, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, remote working, salary circa £45,000 to £50,000 plus benefits. To give you an idea, a gallon of fuel is £8.50 in the UK now, so everything's relative. So if you live in the US, I think a gallon of fuel is about $4.50. So fuel is much more than twice as expensive in the UK. We're working with the UK's leading digital and online retailers for cult entertainment and sci-fi publishing companies at a time of exciting growth. You'll be writing, testing, and debugging programs and integrating applications with third-party web services. They all self-host all of their infrastructure, so this will be a great opportunity to. So if they self-host, that means you're not getting any exposure to AWS or Google Cloud or Azure, but it's not the end of the world. Git, that's right. Okay, let's tick these things. So we know Python. Django, I don't. Maybe you do. HTML, CSS, yeah, JavaScript. Thing is, most people know some JavaScript, but do you know, multi-threading and all that, all the hardcore bits? Probably not, or not the majority of us. SQL, Linux, Git, CI/CD. Okay, that's that one. Not going to dwell on these too long because you'll get bored. I don't know what's going on here with the screen. It's kind of got these funny. Let me refresh. Still got them. Hope it's not spoiling your enjoyment, but we've got these pink lines across the screen. It might be because I changed my HDMI. Oh, gone. I think it's because I changed my HDMI lead earlier. Azure DevOps, work from home, Switzerland. Let's have a look at a job abroad, overseas. Computer science, bachelor's or master's, 10 years hands-on. Databricks. I'm afraid I don't know much of the Microsoft cloud offerings. Agile, test-driven development, DevOps. So anybody who's a lone wolf coder, let's see, what is Agile? So they do things called sprints where you have to kind of set a target and meet it every 2 weeks. Software development values. Oh, I nearly tipped my coffee over there because I was distracted by some mail coming through letterbox. Agile software development values based on the combined experience of developing software and helping others do that. Individuals and interactions over process and tools. Working software over comprehensive documentation. Customer collaboration over contract negotiation. Responding to change over following a plan. I mean, it all sounds admirable, really, doesn't it? This is the bit that no matter which development method is followed, every team should include include a customer representative, product owner. Oh, so they're the product owner in Scrum. Right, I'm just going to look up Scrum and then we'll look at some more stuff. The framework for developing, delivering, and sustaining products in a complex environment. Oh, there we go. There's our diagram. So, daily Scrum, 15-minute progress towards the sprint goal, actionable plan for the next day, inspect the outcome, plan ways to increase quality, sprint goal, product backlog item selected, sprint plan. Okay. I'll leave you to make up your own mind on that. I'm not going to put a downer on it because it may well be amazing. So, senior backend developer, Python, work from home, Bristol, Seymour. 50 to 80,000. That will probably buy you a tank of fuel by the autumn. Being facetious. Can you spell facetious? F-A-C-E-T-I-O-U-S. It's the only word in the English language with all of the vowels in the order in which they appear in the alphabet. Rust, C, C++, serial interfaces, video processing, front end, mobile dev, machine learning, DevOps, bringing your own technologies, and much more. You'll be responsible for the back-end development using Python 2 and 3 with an asynchronous programming and Linux environment. Interesting, they mentioned Python 2. Knowledge of sockets / networking. Interested in working on technically fascinating technology. Sounds interesting. Oh, the sensor-based defense and surveillance technology. Next. Not going to pass comment on that. I'll leave you to establish your own opinions on that. Software development, Gwent, software developer. That's probably Newport in the UK, is it? The Office of National Statistics? No. Don't think so. Salary of that says 40, 00. Attention to detail, dear boy. Salary of 4,000. Pension contribution of 27.1% and a strong focus on learning and development opportunities. They offer predominantly remote working with just once quarter in the office. 4 times a year you have to go to Newport, so that's fine if you live in the UK. Yeah, 40,000. That's not the best salary in the world, but C# and Azure, so it's very Microsofty. Again, that's up to you. Leave that. That's for you to look at and consider. Data scientist. Oh, this is the problem where you get a job listed in more than one location, and basically it completely fills up your page. Birmingham, London, Manchester, it's all the same job. It's just annoying. I'm not even going to look at it. Python developer, let's go for that. Crew, 45 to 65,000. Applause IT are looking for a full stack developer with at least 3 years experience using Python, React, and database technologies, Postgres, Oracle, or MySQL, to join a successful, fast-growing company with offices across 5 continents. Not 6 continents, because that would then involve Antarctica or the Arctic Circle. Imagine working there. You wouldn't be able to type because you'd have gloves on. Probably. I don't know. You'd be programming, and then you'd see a polar bear walk past your window. If they're still about, because of climate change. HTML, CSS, JavaScript, TypeScript. I must admit, I don't know anything about TypeScript either. Very bad. React. I've not really pursued the JavaScript route in depth. Again, if you have, then this is probably quite a good role. Django, Angular or Vue. So again, I think as I said in a previous video, Python jobs are either tend to either be data science, web, data science or web in general. And this is database design. So knowing SQL is always going to be handy. Even if you're web scraping, I mean, you can see all my old videos where I've web scraped and then saved the output to a database. Just anything. Not all web scraping is just exporting to a CSV, especially if you're doing it daily and you want to do trend analysis, price forecasting, price analysis, trend monitoring of prices. Right, and this is where we get C++, 120 to 150,000 pounds. Wow. I can only dream of that. That's more than, I expect that's more than some YouTubers earn. Some of the top YouTubers. WinForms, hedge fund. I don't know what that is really. So I'm not going to visit it and try to talk about it. Rust developer. So Rust is, as far as I know, it's a bit like C, C++, but it's got a few new bits on it. Let's have a look at what Rust is. Not that I'm going to go off and learn it anytime soon, but it's just useful to, whilst we're looking. Rust language. You might go into work one day and your boss might say, oh, I've watched a video on YouTube about Rust, so we're going to use it in our entire company as from today. Unlikely, but Rust is blazingly fast and memory efficient with no runtime or garbage collector. It can power performance critical services, run on embedded devices, and easily integrate with other languages. Rust's rich type system and ownership model guarantee memory safety and thread safety, enabling you to eliminate many classes of bugs at compile time. Rust has great documentation, a friendly compiler with useful error messages and top-notch tooling. A lot of people will have invested a lot of time, especially if they've done computer science degrees, in learning C and C++. So you probably will have a cognitive bias towards C. I think I probably have because I've learned it recently. But let's just see what predictable performance, tiny resource footprint, rock solid reliability. Rust is great for network services. Embedded. I think you can compile JavaScript with Rust or something like that. Is that true? Fast, safe, and open virtual machine called WebAssembly and read its standard. Augment, don't replace. Okay, so augment JavaScript with Rust, don't replace. We'll get back to the jobs listings in a second. I'm just going off on a tangent, as is my want. WASM, WebAssembly, is a binary instruction format for a stack-based virtual machine. WASM is designed as a portable compilation target for programming languages, enabling deployment on the web for client and server applications. The WASM stack machine is designed to be encoded in a size and load time efficient binary format. WebAssembly aims to execute at native speed by taking advantage of common hardware capabilities. There we go, webassembly.github.io. Just to paraphrase, it looks like you can compile some stuff in Rust and run it as a binary via JavaScript. So that's quite interesting. If you're just starting off these days, probably worth spending an hour or two looking at Rust and finding out if it's something you want to invest time in learning. If you already know C or C++, then you may not want to go relearn something. I don't know. Is learning Rust easy if you already know C? I don't know. Maybe somebody can comment on the thumbs up video comments. Yeah. Don't forget to subscribe. Yeah. Senior low code developer, fully remote. What's a low code developer? Do they mean low level? JavaScript, Vue. Okay. It seems to be. I don't know. What did I put in at the top? Python developer, and a lot of the jobs seem to be coming up is JavaScript. Cloud software engineer, DevOps. Thing is, DevOps is not really developing software as such. It's, as you've seen from some of my videos, DevOps tends to be editing YAML files, Docker containers, scripts. Data engineer support, work from home, AWS, Python. If this sounds like you, apply within or get in touch with Raven. No, you have to talk to Raven. We are working with a leading AI consultancy that specializes in implementing advanced analytics, data science, and machine learning solutions on a global scale. Our client is right at the cutting edge of emerging technologies and practices within the AI space and offers excellent opportunities for learning and progression. You will be mid-level data engineer. Software, front end, full stack, DevOps. So as more and more automation takes over, there's going to be more and more, well, I don't know, there may be more and more DevOps jobs and less programming jobs. Find your niche. So if you watch many YouTube videos with sort of life tips, such as, no, not such as this one, I'm too modest, or I'm not expert enough to offer life advice as such, but what I can tell you is that you should have a niche and be very good at something. What do they call it? A T-shaped developer. So you're good across lots of things, but you're excellent at one thing in particular. Also known as domain knowledge. You need to have domain knowledge. Domain knowledge being know something, know your industry, or if you're not working in industry, know your business sector, I guess you would call it. Business sector, does that make sense? Noir, it's not, noir means black, which, rainbow, that's, anyway. Net, C Sharp, Python, Linux, C Sharp, Java, Python, London, software development. Let's just have we'll have a look at this one and then we'll wrap it up for this video, and then I'll just do a bit of a chat at the end. So, nice salary. Again, Django, Docker, AWS. 2 days in the office every 2 weeks. If that's in London and you live in Bristol, then that's expensive to get to London twice every 2 weeks. Even if you're being paid £80,000. £1,000 per day. Wow. Python, Linux, DevOps. Selenium, Pandas, NumPy, Xarray, Dask, Mathplot, SQLite, SQL Alchemy, Algo 1, Risk Suite, or AWA. So automated unit test design, Selenium. So if you are testing a website, you can use Python to test it using Selenium. MongoDB, Oracle, SQL, Flask, Django. To be honest, I think Flask is just worth knowing in its own right, even if you're not going to be a front end or a web HM naval base. Where is Hampshire? Experience with big data technologies. So depending on your background, there are things called barrier to entry if you know about economics, which is, for instance, if a new company now wanted to become a cloud provider, a barrier to entry would be the fact that you need data centers in every continent. So yeah, you're unlikely to displace Amazon, Google, Microsoft Azure. So that's a barrier to entry. It means that it's difficult to start from scratch, and to jump into a job with big data technologies. How do you get the big data technologies? If you can't study that on YouTube, really. You could probably look at Apache and Hadoop, GraphQL, but there's plenty of other stuff out there. So I was once told by a salesperson, sell what you can see, don't see what you can sell. And that kind of applies to jobs as well. Instead of sell, apply. So apply for the jobs that you can see. You don't see what jobs you can apply for. So if you see a job and it's suitable, well, then go for that one, and don't keep looking at other ones which include requirement for big data if you don't have the big data experience. This might actually be the same role. No, sorry, not the same role. The same company is also in Hampshire. lower salary, but they want 1 year's commercial experience as a software developer, software engineer. Was that remote? Work from home? Yeah. Agile. So if you want to do anything with software, you will see agile, unless you degree educated in computer science or related field is desirable. Why is degree in computer science so desirable? I know from even watching Barry Brown on YouTube, it's not all about just typing code and knowing all of the different methods and how to create objects and inheritance and so on. Data structures, linked lists, and n-dimensional arrays, different sorting algorithms, recursion, and so on. So, yeah, I think if you have a computer science degree, then you should be very proud, and yeah, you may be in a much better position than somebody who hasn't, even if you've got, even if you have to, even if your student debt is equivalent to some of these salaries. I think typically people now leave university in the UK with maybe 40,000, 50,000 pounds in debt. That's a split between about 30,000 to pay for the college tuition fees and about 20,000 sort of living rent expenses. Because obviously, if you go to university, you're probably not going to be living at your former home. You're probably going to be living away from home, so to speak. One last one, Python developer, 50,000 remote. Let's see again. Yeah, Django, REST, PostgreSQL, Git. So, what have we learned? We've learned that Django is very much in demand, and you either really want to do Django or you don't. What the other thing I could say is, although there's lots of opportunities for Django, there's probably more people out there doing it. I don't know. Django. I think personally, I think it's good to know some Flask and or Django just before you decide whether it's something you want to do or not. You can't just dismiss it without learning a bit of it, is what I'm saying. Are you done in your current role? Are you a Python Linux developer looking for the next step up progression but held back in a company that is not valuing your contribution or input? Hampshire again. My client are a leading cybersecurity company that provides continuous threat monitoring and active defense strategy within the transport sector. Python, Linux, or Rust. Linux or Rust. One is an operating system and one is a programming language. SQL, Ansible. I think it's just a badly worded job description. Okay, so that's my look at jobs in the UK. Python stroke software jobs in the UK in June of 2022. One last thing I wanted to show on this channel, because I thought what I'd do is start putting videos on the Programming 360 channel, because I think I've done plenty of Python content, and obviously Python is a good thing to know, but there's more stuff out there which you will always also need to know as well as Python. So for instance, C, Linux, Vim, DevOps type stuff, networking, job hunting. So this channel is going to be a bit more random, so to speak. Random as in the content won't always be Python, it will jump about. Sometimes it'll be coding, sometimes it'll be jobs. I know you probably, if you watch my main channel, Python 360, you'll probably say, yeah, well, you already do that. But I think it dilutes the channel if I hop around too much. So what I'll be doing is Python 360. I'll be trying to stick to Python content. Let me know if you'd like to see any object-oriented tutorials. eBay. I know my eBay videos were successful. My 3D modeling with Python videos were quite successful. My leak code and my challenges were less successful, very few views. So if you'd like to see coding challenges done in different languages, if you'd like to see somebody try and learn Rust from scratch, I could do that. I've recently signed up for an AWS account. I did GCP, Google Cloud Platform, last year, which I really liked. Amazon, I'm struggling to warm to. I don't know if it's cognitive bias again, but there we go. So, oh yeah, one last thing, just to wrap up. Going off on a bit of a tangent, and again, if somebody'd like to see this, I can do a video on it. My old PC that I thought was kaput, dead, broken, gone. I searched on Google and I couldn't really find answers to how to fix a broken PC. If you type in that sort of thing, you're probably going to get a message about replace the power supply. I knew it wasn't the power supply because I still had the green light on the front, and it just booted and then died sort of switched itself off straight away. The fact that I had the green light on the front, I thought, well, that probably means I'm getting the power supply from the mains. This is a PC tower we're talking about, not a laptop. I found a really good video, very sort of handmade video, shall we say. He was holding the camera in one hand and it was swaying all over the place. But long story short, take the battery out, the CMOS, is it CMOS? I think so. Anyway, that's what fixed it. So, replace. Used to get it on Macs about 20 years ago. The battery would go flat over a weekend and you come back in and people would say their Mac, they couldn't print. Their Mac was working, but because the CMOS battery had gone flat, their computer was saying it was 1970, and that conflicted with the HP Hewlett-Packard drivers. So everything was working, they were logged in, they could use FileMaker or whatever, but they couldn't print. And it was all because of the CMOS battery. And again, that's what's happened here on my old PC. So my old PC, Windows 10, which I'm probably going to never use on the internet again if I can help it, because I don't want viruses and all that stuff. But what I'll do is I'll keep it just because it's a 16 gigabyte, loads of RAM, really fast. Even though it's nearly 10 years old, it's still faster than my newer laptops. So yeah, I took the battery out for about a minute and then I pushed it back in. So yeah, don't electrocute yourself. Lots of warnings there. Yeah, when I took the battery out, it did look like that one. CR2032, 3 volts. I don't know if it was. It wasn't the Panasonic, and it was getting dark and my eyes couldn't quite read it. It was very faintly stamped on the battery. But yeah, I thought maybe I was thinking, oh, I'll buy a new motherboard, I'll buy a new processor, and then I thought, oh, I can't afford it. But in the end, I took the side of the case off. I took the battery out. put it back in about a minute later, 5 minutes later, PC booted up and yeah, up and running. So thank you for watching. Hopefully this has just given you a little overview of what have we looked at. We've looked at Rust, we've talked about Django. Even if you don't want to go fully into Django, maybe just learn Flask just to start with. I'm sure most people have done some Flask, but if you haven't, then probably just worth doing 1 or 2 Flask projects. And if you do have cloud hosting, then you can write something in Flask and host it in the cloud, because that's always one of the problems, because to run something written in Flask or Django, you probably have to, traditionally, most people would then sign up for hosting with Heroku. Heroku, they have things called dynos and basically, if you want to do anything even remotely useful on Heroku, you end up having to pay. I think the pricing structure starts off at very low, but then quickly goes up. So yeah, Heroku. You do need a credit card, unfortunately, but sign up for Google or Amazon, or if not, just host it locally. Choice is yours. So thank you for watching. Let me know if you like this video. What am I doing at the moment? If you're interested, I'm still chipping away with C programming. I started off writing code years ago that I could compile, and I like compiling things. It feels much more robust if you have code that is compiled. Not that I'm ditching Python, but as we say in England, horses for courses. So I'll let you look that up. In the meantime, I'd like to thank you for watching and give this a thumbs up. Subscribe. It helps the channel, helps the algorithms. The algorithms are basically within YouTube world of video making content creators, if that's what you want to call them. The algorithms are God. How do I know? Well, I didn't post anything on my main channel for about 3 weeks. Day by day, I ended up getting more views. So explain that. I don't know. So thanks for watching. I'll be back soon with another video.